This is James Mathers at NAB 2018 for the Digital Cinema Society and New Bay Media. I'm here at the Arri booth, and Chase Hagen is going to tell us about one of the big releases at NAB, the LF camera.
Correct. We're excited for her. She's a new Alexa LF camera, and an LF standing for large format. And we're calling it large format because it's actually slightly larger than full frame in terms of the sensor size. And this is, of course, not the first large format type Arri camera. In a sense, that we had the Alexa 65 released a few years ago. And that was also what kind of was the reason that this camera was born, was because we had so much feedback from customers. I mean, overwhelmingly positive feedback about the Alexa 65, but they wanted a camera that perhaps had an option to have more lens choices. With a 65mm sensor, your lens choices are quite limited. It's, of course, a bigger, heavier camera, more power draw. So we decided, you know what, let's take that, what we've learned from that, and build a new camera system that is large format. And the big thing about that keyword there is system, right? So not just a camera, but a new mount technology, new lenses to work together as a system. And the way we did that is we took a look at the sensor design of the Alexa, and we said, well, we took 3 Alexa sensors and turned them on their side to make the 65. Why don't we take 2 of them and turn them on their side, and we get actually a format that's just slightly larger than full frame photo, allowing for creative choices with lenses to be a lot easier than they would be with a larger format. So that's what we have here. We have the same exact sensor design, so you have the same pixel size, 8.25 microns, great for high dynamic range, low noise, great skin tones, beautiful color fidelity. So it's the same imaging technology that's in all our other cameras, which means it'll match perfectly to your existing Alexas, Mini, Amira in terms of imaging science. The camera also does high frame rate, which is a big thing about it. We didn't want to compromise in frame rates in terms of the large format. So what we did is we have different sensor modes, and one of the sensor modes we can actually go up to 150 frames per second in Arri RAW. So no compromises there.
So it's not a 16:9 format?
Actually, no. So the way by putting the 2 sensors together and turning them on their side, it's a 1:4:5-ish aspect ratio, a little bit 1:4:4, 1:4:5, and that's what you get when you put the 2 sensors together. So it's kind of keeping in that philosophy that it's a very tall sensor as well as it is wide. So that means that it's great for you have surround views, you have areas to reframe and reposition. Of course, you can show frame lines for traditional formats like 16:9, 185, 239 in the open gate mode, but in open gate, correct. It's a closer to 4:3, I guess, but it's 1:4:5 aspect ratio.
Should be good for anamorphic then.
It should, yes.
But what about my legacy Super 35 lenses?
This is a very good question, and so we tried to keep compatibility with the camera as much as possible with existing not only lenses as possible, but also accessories. So the same viewfinder, same accessories will fit. The camera's only 12mm longer and wider, so we tried to make sure that all your base plates, your WC4, your wireless system will fit. But legacy lenses, that's a good question. We have a new mount. It's called the LPL mount. And why do we do that? Well, the PL mount's an older technology, and it was designed with a 55mm focal flange distance, which is needed to clear a mirror shutter in a film camera, but we don't have a mirror shutter anymore. So for a lens design to improve that, which we'll talk about in a little bit, we decided to shorten the focal flange distance down to 44mm, but we also retain compatibility, because even though it's 60mm now in the diameter of it, we have an insert that you could instantly insert that's an LPL to PL mount adapter to use your existing PL lenses. And good question about Super 35. We do have a sensor mode called LF 16:9, which is exactly 4K UHD in resolution with our big pixels, so 3840 by 2160, but that actually allows for certain Super 35 lenses, especially primes and some newer ones, to cover that LF 16:9 mode, even on the wider side. So for example, Arri lenses, they actually have a very large over projection circle, so a 20mm ultra prime will cover the LF 16:9 mode and greater, and a 35mm master prime and greater will cover the LF 16:9 mode. So there will be certain Super 35 lenses that you can use, and especially with the LPL mount adapter and PL mount adapter included in the actual package.
Tell me about the new lenses.
Alrighty, let's go take a look. Do you want to go over there and take a look? Sure. Shall we? So right here we have the LPL to PL mount adapter, and this adapter is actually an insert that sits inside the LPL mount. It actually is very interesting because it's got contacts here that can be used for LDS1 or for Cook Eye data as well, and what it'll do is it'll actually pass through that metadata to the camera, and the camera reads it just as its normal LDS1 or Cook Eye metadata. It's got a different color actually. If you look back at the mount on the actual LF, the LPL mount, it's got blue ears, and we keep these ears black. The reason being is so you can tell the difference, so you don't know what mount you're unlocking, but of course it's a steel mount and very rugged and reliable.
How about the new lenses?
The lenses, one of my favorite parts. So the cool thing about the new lenses is they're actually the first set of lenses that we were really considering Arri lenses, in a sense that last year we turned 100 years old, and we kind of have been around for so long that we've seen a lot in lens design. We've made lenses with different manufacturers over many years, and we've learned a lot. We have a great team there, and they decided that we want to make a set of lenses that really is the signature of Arri as a company, hence the name Signature Primes. And also another reason why we're calling them Signature Primes is because we also want the DPs using them to have their own signature by using the lenses. And how are we doing that? We're doing it a couple different ways. We'll have a magnetic insert rear piece that actually just snaps right onto the back. That's actually a gel and filter holder, so you can put different gels and filters and even nets behind the lens. The front and rear elements of all the lenses are exchangeable, so later next year we'll come out with what we call flare sets like we have with our Master Anamorphics. So it'll be like, say, single coated front element and rear element. So you'll have 4 lenses in one, in a sense. You'll have clean, just the rear, just the front, and both together, and you can do it yourself. It's a few screws, clean room, good AC kind of thing. First AC, I should say. And as long as you're not doing it in the desert and sand, you'll be able to put those on there and go shoot with them. It's not something you'll have to send them back to Arri. Mechanics have been improved. Actually, serviceability has been improved. They're a lot easier to service than our previous generation lenses. They have LDS2 in terms of the contacts on them, so they actually read LDS data instantly when you put them onto the camera. You don't have to move the barrels to get the data through, and they work up to 150 frames per second, frame per frame LDS data through the lens, and more reliable system overall. But
they look pretty heavy.
Yeah, they look pretty heavy, right? But the big thing I was just gonna, is the fact that the construction of them is entirely made out of magnesium, and this is a new thing because magnesium is very hard to machine, very hard to make. You can cast it or machine it, but when you machine it, it tends to catch fire quite often, so it's very difficult to work with. But we were able to make these lenses actually entirely out of magnesium, which means that they're super lightweight, which is fantastic because guess what? They're actually on average 2 pounds lighter than their equivalent Master Primes.
I don't know if I believe that. May I?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
That is light.
Yeah. So the magnesium construction makes it very rugged, but you also have the texturing on it, so it's easier for gripping the lens, which is fantastic because with aluminum, you can get a very smooth surface, but if your hands are slightly wet, it's kind of slippery in your hands especially. And then you can see that they're all T1.8. The gearing spacing is quite nice, so you can get their motors in there, and it's the same gearing spacing on almost all the lenses. You've got bright barrels that are kind of neon green fluorescent, which is fantastic for readability, and 114 millimeter diameter whenever possible. Just the 2 wider ones and the 3 tighter ones that have the bigger barrels are not 114. And these are the first set of large format cine lenses that we're aware of, at least, that are fully telecentric. What that means is that all light going through the front of the lens on a non-telecentric lens actually normally comes out of the back of the lens in any which way. So on a film negative, that might be okay because you have silver halide, so light coming out of the back, hitting it at an odd angle on a film negative, not a big deal. But on a digital sensor where you have RGB pixels at the back and you have micro lenses, if light that hits at a stray angle, you might get stuff like color artifacts, aberrations, increased chromatic aberrations that actually might not be from the lens, but the light hitting the micropixels at an angle. These are the first set of lenses from Arri that are fully telecentric, which means that all light coming through the front of it comes out of the back of the lens and smacks the pixel exactly in a straight line at a 90-degree angle. So it's fantastic for optical performance, and that was only possible, or one of the ways it was made possible with such a light lens, I should say, is the fact that we're going down to 44 millimeters. With the 52 millimeters, very hard to control that light coming out of the back of the lens. So that new LPL mount and that short focal flange distance allowed us to make lenses that were as light and very high optical quality. They're all T1.8 except for the 2 longest ones, the 200's a 2.5, the 280's a 2.8. We'll be shipping the first 4 in June in terms of the first 4 focal lengths. That'll be the 25, the 35, the 75, as well as the 47 as well. Then in July, we're going to ship the 29 and the 125, and in August, the 18, and then every month after that, it'll be another focal lengths. 16 lenses in total. Amazing. A bigger family than the Master Primes.
And the camera's already shipping, the LF?
Yes. We're the first ones left the factory this week, from what I was told, so hopefully they'll make their way into, above my pay grade, to the customers very, very soon.
Yes. Seems like a beautiful system. Thank you, Chase.
Fantastic. Yes, thank you very much.